Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. I just saw The Zookeeper. Yeah, basically, I perused like IMDb, and they had a whole bunch of people who wanted to vote up to see this movie. Probably because they were parents or something. So I just thought I decided to go see it, see how it is. Maybe it'd be funny. I mean, Kevin James, in the kind of sense, but basically, it's about a zookeeper played by Kevin James, who gets dumped pretty much gets dumped when he proposes to his girlfriend, because she dumps him because he's a zookeeper, and she wants more or something. Well, anyway, 5 years goes by and she comes back. And he winds up deciding to leave and do something else and branch off or whatnot. And the thing is that the animals there, we find out, all like him. And they don't want him to leave, so they try to help him, win his girl. And break their code of silence to talk to him and try to actually, make him win his girl. Two things before I go into this, okay? One, two things that I think are at least worth noting, at least. One is Kevin James. I can understand why they choose Kevin James. He has, in some ways, an interesting charm to the movie, in movies. He just seems like he's the everyman, When you have certain people who are basically in movies that are usually strapping and, got some sort of, action movie type of guy, he's not that kind of person. So he kind of seems to have a tendency to represent a kind of everyman. So I understand his particular type of charm in movies. Second thing that's also worth noting in this film is that when we have comedies in this day and age, where every single comedy seems to be this raunchy, rated R type of movie, and that you can, and that's all we seem to have a tendency to make within these comedies. It's good to actually see that there is a comedy out there that actually is geared toward children aside from an animated feature. Okay, those are the two things. Now let's get to the movie. I have to actually say, this movie has Kevin James in it. It also has Rosario Dawson, Leslie Bibb, Donnie Wahlberg, Donnie, not Marky, Donnie. And and also has voice talents from, I believe, Nick Nolte, but I know Sylvester Stallone, Adam Sandler, and even Cher, I believe. Anyway, the one thing is that when I go into this film, I did not laugh once at this film. I almost laughed at a few scenes, but yet at the same time I didn't laugh once at this movie. It is not funny. Really, it is not funny. They didn't take really much time into doing that. All they did was seem to actually believe that we could just throw Kevin James into some sort of like slapstick mode where he does some sort of physical comedy and bang, everybody will laugh at it. And I know that there were laughs in the theater, and I think it's basically due to the fact that, the children were laughing, and kids will probably like this film. But the one thing is that I think the adults were laughing. Maybe at some scenes I could understand, but at other particular types of scenes, they were probably just laughing with their children. I mean, they say, oh, my kid is enjoying it and shit, God, this movie sucks. Anyway, this movie is really terrible on comedy. It doesn't pay attention to the females that are basically part of his life, that basically should be, in it, when the females are in there. I mean, Rosario Dawson and Leslie Bibb do actually play at least a decent job when they're in the show, at least. But the one thing is, these women, we don't know enough about them, and they don't seem to actually follow this kind of charisma with Kevin James as much. It seems that we just concentrate too much upon Kevin James's idea of wanting to be with this female, and we don't, and I didn't really buy the relationship with Rosario Dawson and Kevin James as much, because we don't see enough of them together and in some ways liking each other. We only have like one scene that does that, and then that's about pretty much it. I found this movie just so horrible. There isn't really a definable kind of villain in the movie. You don't like what they do, that's fine. You kind of seem to think that they're jerks. But, I found that Donnie Wahlberg was actually much more threatening, but yet he wasn't even in the movie for that long. While Joe Rogan was in the movie longer, and he just played a jerk. That's all he did. And he just played a goofy one at that, not really a threatening one. I also thought that the actual animals in the movie were so unbelievably unfunny. They were not funny at all. They were not even cute. It was almost like they were actually, they just filmed animals, right? And then they did something and then the animal did something, right? And then and then some sort of person wind up actually improvising in the studio, doing a voiceover. That seemed to be what I always felt like when I was watching these animals. It was bad. It was just terribly bad. I have seen better talking animals in other movies. This is a bad movie. This is a terrible movie. And yet, I have to at least commend it for trying in some ways. At least commend it in some ways. For trying to make a children's movie. But to my perspective, a good children's movie is when children and adults can actually have a tendency to like it. And I didn't see one or the other. I think that children might like it, probably at age 5 maybe, or whatever, or maybe 11. But as far as anything else, it's just really a bad movie. I mean, I can't really stress of how bad this movie is. And it's really a waste of the people who do have. I can actually really justify that these individuals do have talent, but it's just really bad. But I can understand in such a way why it's not really that good. Because the film is directed by Frank Coraci. I believe that's his name. Last name, I'm not sure. But Frank Coraci, he is known for directing three Adam Sandler films: Waterboy, and The Wedding Singer, and also Click. And the only film that seems to actually be good out of that, or at least decent, it's not a great film, but at least decent, is The Wedding Singer. It was in some ways a decent romantic comedy, but really it's quite lame. It's quite lame for that. And then he also directed Around the World in 80 Days with the Jackie Chan character. And that's the sad part. His two best films happen to be Around the World in 80 Days and The Wedding Singer. And I thought The Wedding Singer was better, and yet not much better. So, in some ways, yeah, he's made some films that probably got box office just basically because Adam Sandler was in it or Jackie Chan was in it. But really, I mean, this guy doesn't have a very good streak within very good films. So, but I think that a lot of people will go to see Zookeeper because it's pretty much a comedy that's live action, that, with characters that you in some ways can relate to because they're live action. Um, so I think that it'll bring in the big bucks for that reason. But as far as the rest of the movie, it is not funny to me at all. It was not funny at all in the movie. I almost laughed at a few points, but not really. It just wasn't. It just really wasn't that good. I mean, the Donnie Wahlberg character was probably the only one that the only villain in the movie that I actually felt was really menacing. But I mean, you could go see it if you want to, but I'm fucking thumbs down. Okay, 1 star basically. I give it 1 star out of 5 stars. Yeah, it's horrible. I give it 1 star basically because of the charm that certain particular kind of characters have when they're on screen, such as like Rosario Dawson and Leslie Bibb. And I do give it 1 star basically for Kevin James's character, that these characters do have in some ways a charm in the movie that do in some ways lift it up from being no stars at all. But the rest of the movie is absolutely, utterly horrible. Do not see this film. You can see it if you want to, but just do not see this film. No, thumbs down. It's terrible. 1 star out of 5. It sucks. But anyway, out of it all, don't even buy the film. You know what? I didn't even like Cars 2. Go see Cars 2 again. Okay? It's much better. It's much better than this film. And I didn't even like Cars 2. That's how bad this movie is. But, I guess I can't say pretty much anything else about it except bad, bad, bad. Oh, well. I guess that's it. And I thank you for your time, and have a nice day.